My micromechanism thanks you. My computer tapes thank you. And I thank you. Warning! 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 Alien approaching! What? Where?
Groovy Bean here. Welcome to Full Disclosure Now. You can find me every week right here at www.fulldisclosurenow.com. We are a donation station. The sheep don't sleep here, so if you like what you hear and you want more of it, show the Babylonian love. Hold the phone, Groovy Bean. What is the Babylonian love? Our economic system originated in Babylon thousands of years ago. That money in your carcass purse is just that. So if you seriously appreciate what we were doing here, is where you, yes you, the listener, can participate and help make a difference. Click that donate link on our host page, folks, and follow through. If you want more information on the bean here, go to www.groovybean.com.
Researcher Richard Dolan, author of the book Day After Disclosure, states, "The implications of a UFO reality and cover-up are profound. It means that our society has lived in an official reality so incomplete, so inaccurate, that we may with justice call it fictitious. It means that the history we have learned, the science we think we know, and the very core of who we think we are need to be rediscovered." To engage this process of rediscovery, stay tuned to Yvonne Palermo's Disclosure News.
For here. Captain. Damn it, Jim, what the hell's the matter with you?
Twelve, 11, 10, 9. Ignition sequence start. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. All engine running. Liftoff. We have a liftoff. 32 minutes past the hour.
During this time of transition, there is an awakening happening, no doubt. However, we are also in the age of deception, and if people don't know themselves, they will mistake reality for illusion and illusion for reality. The term awakening needs to be carefully looked at, because people can awaken to merely another form of illusion and dream of waking up while still being asleep. On the other hand, self-work can easily turn into a narcissistic activity if one is too absorbed with oneself or has no network that can give objective feedback and mirroring. The solutions presented by various conscious movements these days and other people who have good intentions are not bad in themselves. However, by leaving out the necessary deeper self-work that is needed to truly be the change, nothing will change fundamentally, and so many of those solutions become just castles in the air. It is also the prerequisite to seek truth in the world, for one's perception needs to be clear in order to discern lies from truth. Honest self-work goes hand in hand with looking at global issues that seem to be ignored by many self-proclaimed conscious people who want a better world. Be it 9/11, Zionism, psychopathy and pornorology, the UFO phenomena, and many other secrets present and past. There is still much we have to come to terms with before any form of golden age is going to manifest. Suppression of knowledge is the name of the game. There are traps and dead ends on the path towards awakening, and there are forces that do their best to keep humanity asleep. It is no coincidence that much of this crucial esoteric knowledge has been filtered out and is hard to come by in today's spiritual, conscious, and New Age movements. Knowledge protects, ignorance endangers.
Good afternoon and happy Sunday to you, and welcome to Full Disclosure Now. I am your host, Yvonne Palermo, aka the Groovy Bean. What? Yeah, what is the Groovy Bean? Let me tell you. It's the place where seeds grow. We spark change, all us groovy little beans here to feed the planet. We are the change we seek, looking within first. We find who we are without our ego baggage, then our true essence. Our energy, beaming light of love, wholeness, mindfulness can branch out and share this as together we pack one power pineal, Papa goodness. Let's all put our love light energy towards one another in this moment and hold our vigilance as one. Holy social media pants. Oh, stay in the know with FDN. We are on Twitter, Facebook, give it a like, and YouTube. Same goes for me at Groovy Bean, spelled GROOVIEBEAN. Check me out at www.groovybean.com. To the group here at FDN, the term full disclosure is the embodiment of an individual's journey in seeking their own truth. It is the understanding that all of us have been lied to, that none of us knows the truth, and that even the liars are lying to each other. It is an understanding that this world we live in has become a self-perpetuating enigma within itself, and it is up to each of us individually to take the journey towards disclosing truth as a community. Since this movement started, we have been approached by individuals both praising the use of the angelic divine numbers, along with others cursing the use of the Illuminati occult satanic numbers. The symbolism for us here, the numbers 1111 represent neither. The symbolism of 1111 for us is the representation of a group of individuals unified together. That is it. It is about accepting our individual journeys while choosing to walk together as a community toward a common goal of full disclosure. At this time, friends, I'd like to send a holler out to our friends of goodness in the live chat room, and of course to all of you listeners. Now, folks, if you'd like to join us in the live chat room, all you have to do, there's a little chat bubble at the bottom right-hand side of the page on the Spreaker Full Disclosure Now. Click on that bubble. We do ask that you chat away with respect to all who gather here. The rules are as follows. To ask a question for any of us on air, you must have all of your questions in capital letters. Why is that? Because I'm as blind as a bat. That's why. Now, upcoming shows this Thursday night, Jim Nichols and Augie Noss join me with Nazi Saucers. Friday, Og Tellez, Spency, and Eric Rains. We're going to discuss the heart chakra. September 15th, Jim Nichols and I discuss the upcoming conference for TransformationalShiftEvents.com. Stuart Swerdlow, Mark Kimmel, Cheyenne Stone, Adana Tolek, me, and Nichols will be on the panel. Want to be a guest? Well, hey, send me an email to groovybean@gmail.com. Disclaimer. Any guest and or topic that I have on my show, listener discretion is advised. Each person needs to discern, and I mean discern, for yourself. Yeah, the validity of guest claims. I leave it up to each listener to discern from themselves, so thank you very much. All right, folks, we have 2 people joining us today, and yeah, we're doing a show on Sunday. And how cool is this? It is a cool, crisp fall day here in the Cascadia Mountain region, the Great Pacific Northwest. Today, I am joined with Jim Nichols and Bernhard Guenther. Let me tell you about both. Mr. Jim Nichols, he's been on our show quite a bit. He is a groovy bean. He is a UFO illustrator researcher. As of 1980, an association with the world-renowned UFO researcher Lieutenant Colonel Wendell Stevens, who is retired, inspired Jim to launch into series UFO illustrations, producing an extraordinary body of work that has since been published internationally in magazines, articles, books, and the internet. His art was featured on the History Channel's UFO Hunters and Unsealed Alien Files Season 1, Episode 10, Nazis and UFOs. Features his art also. Actually, Cosmic Disclosure actually just recently showed it too, by the way. Wink, wink, nod, nod. The notoriety he gained as a UFO artist earned him a co-host seat on a weekly Tucson public access television program entitled UFO AZ Talks. This popular award-winning program ran from 1991 through 1997 and was aired across the country. After more than 30 years of UFO research, Jim has become a prolific writer, posting many blog essays on his website, examining the political and social impact of possible extraterrestrial reality. More recently, Jim has devoted his creativity to video journalism, producing numerous video documentaries based on his blog essays, one of which is entitled The Aldebaran Mystery. Earned 2 EBE awards at 2010's International UFO Conference in Laughlin, Nevada. Since his 2010 video debut, Jim's 12 UFO video productions for UFO TV YouTube have reached an audience of nearly 5 million viewers. How cool is that? Now, please check out his YouTube and his blogs at his website at www.jimnicholsufo.net. Now, also about Jim Nichols, since 2012, Jim's research has evolved beyond the UFO enigma into the mystery of human consciousness itself and other topics that he engages each month at his Tucson meetup group called Quantum Horizons. Now, my friends, Bernhard Guenther. Yes. Growing up in Munich, Germany, Bernhard moved to California in 1994 to study drums and percussion at the Percussion Institute of Technology, the PIT. That's right, folks, in Los Angeles. His exploration into rhythm and music became a journey of self-discovery and healing, which led him to bodywork and healing arts. Being very emotionally sensitive and battling depression throughout his early life, Bernhard faced his shadow and fears. His personal healing process also inspired him to explore the mysteries and hidden knowledge surrounding our planet and humanity's origins, questioning the roots of what constitutes reality and how social and spiritual conditioning impacts upon our collective and individual search for truth, fulfillment, and happiness in all aspects of life. His blog, Piercing the Veil of Reality, is a wide-ranging collection of essays, films, and interviews, ranging from spirituality, shamanism, psychology, self-work, esotericism. I can never say that word. Esotericism. We're going to go with it. History to the paranormal and hyperdimensional realities. Time of Transition, I'm going to repeat that, Time of Transition, is his YouTube channel consisting of interviews, webinars, as well as 3 films he made with visual artist Humberto Braga, based on Bernhard's writings. And folks, I have to tell you, please watch these when you get a chance. Know Thyself, Love, Reality in the Time of Transition, UFOs, Aliens, and the Question of Contact. Over the past 10 years, Bernhard has worked with individuals from all walks of life, helping them in their path of healing and wellness. His clients enjoy his intuitive and compassionate approach, be it through hands-on body work and or holistic coaching in person over Skype. Bernhard feels that in order to make a shift in consciousness, we need to do the work to separate truth from lies, both within and without, and bring the darkness to light, woohoo! Whilst making the shadow conscious so that we can truly heal, evolve, and grow, living up to our full soul potential and aligning with our individual purpose. He works out of his private practice, folks, in Topanga Canyon, California, and also offers counseling sessions over Skype, FaceTime, or phone. I do want you to check out his website at www.bernhardguenther.com. That is BERNHARDGUENTHER.com. That is the integrative bodywork and holistic coaching, as well as his other website, which is veilofreality.com. Now, people can awaken to merely another form of illusion. Bernhard's work and awareness dives into the deeper work of being the change. Here at Full Disclosure Now, we all want to know what is true. But to get the truth, we must go within. We must learn who we are, what we stand for, and find ourselves first before we can seek our personal reality. Today, we are honored to have Bernhard Guenther with us to assist us to find truth. One of the last bastions of critical thinking on the internet today, an island of rationality in a sea of swirling madness. I first am going to bring on Jim Nichols, because I know Mr. Nichols has a few things to say, and then Mr. Guenther is going to join us. Jim, how are you doing?
I'm doing just fine there, Groovy Bean, and thank you so much for having me on the show. I'm just I can't express how delighted I am to have Bernhard as one of our guests today. And I have to say, as a UFO researcher myself, I became aware of Bernhard's work after viewing his video, UFO, Aliens, and the Question of Contact, which is a nearly 2-hour production, is one of the most comprehensive and thoughtful discussions of the UFO and extraterrestrial issue that I've seen in my 35 years of researching this topic. But on his website, Piercing the Veil of Reality, he tackles such topics as timeline reality split, frequency vibration and the hidden forces of life, hyperdimensional interference and the keys to discernment, politics, sovereignty and embodiment, individuality, embodiment and the anchoring of a higher frequency, organic portals, soulless humans, the dark side of Cupid, hyperdimensional interferences and love relationships, psychopaths in power, the elephant in the living room, history, lies, and the importance of self-work and critical thinking, vocation and the seeking truth, the challenge of making a living while exposing and transcending the matrix. So Bernhard, to begin, let me just ask you about how you came to recognize reality as a veil that needed to be pierced, and just how does one seek truth as a vocation?
Hey guys, thanks for having me, Jim and Yvonne. Quite introduction. Very well done. Well, that's a big question, Jim. I personally, when I started on my path, as Yvonne shared in my little bio, I mean, I never intended really or consciously chose, so to speak, the path I'm on, maybe from a higher level before I came here, most likely.
Yeah.
But it was really based on, my own suffering, disillusionment, and not even being able to fit in and trying to heal myself, trying to figure things out. And deeper I went, and I just started sharing my thoughts. Never had any ambition to become a writer or let alone make films or anything. Writing helped me. It was my process, was my healing process, helped me to organize my thoughts, helped me to put my personal experiences in context of the bigger picture. And, so I just started my blog, and back in the days even I just started writing on MySpace, and then connected with like-minded people, and people like my writings, and then it kind of exponentially grew from there. Although I have to say, back in the days, maybe Jim, you can relate, nobody really wanted to hear about anything hyperdimensional, alien, or UFO or whatnot.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And, the interest in that topic has definitely increased exponentially over the past few years. For better or worse, I must say, because, as we talked a little bit prior to the show, I know you, Jim, have been for this much longer than I have, but also when I started out in the 90s, there was really no quote-unquote internet, YouTube, or social media whatsoever. So we needed to actually read books, right?
Right.
Do a lot of more deeper research, and manuscripts came around every once in a while, VHS tape. And nowadays you have, the information boom on the internet, which is great. More information can be shared. We can connect with more people. But at the same time, it's also more saturated with a lot of disinformation and sound bites. And I see a lot of people don't really make the effort to really, do a little bit deeper research. And, with the rise of the internet and the technological distraction, we also fall into the epidemic of the short attention span, right? So,
right. Bernhard, I have to ask you, growing up in Germany, in Munich, so much of my own research has involved, Germany prior to World War II and so forth. What is in Germany during your early years? What was the attitude there towards the UFO issue? Is it as taboo as it was here in this country?
When I grew up there, I didn't even talk to anybody about this. Like, I just remember me growing up as a child, I was always a loner,
right.
Couldn't really fit in, either in high school. I got, bullied here and there.
But even with television and science fiction movies?
No, I mean, all the science fiction.
There?
No, okay. All the sci-fi we got, I grew up on Star Trek, translated in German.
Okay.
For me, I was just, I felt very comfortable just being by myself or going out in Germany in the fields, just looking at the stars and just always thinking to myself, there must be more, there must be something else, there must be more to life, So I wasn't even concretely questioning, into the UFO topic, but I was definitely influenced, Star Trek, Star Wars. That's what I grew up on, and always wondering, there must be more to life than what we experience here on Earth and humanity.
So it's after you came to the United States that the UFO thing became a little bit more into your awareness.
Into my awareness, and I really stumbled upon in my own self-work process. Because for me also early on, seeking truth was also clear for me was a twofold process, was the gaining knowledge, seeking truth in terms of information, cutting through my social, cultural conditioning and public education, but more importantly even, or at least at the same level, the inner work, right? My own emotion, my body, getting to my body, and the basic critical thinking, how to take in information, and it's like you cannot separate the inner and outer process. So in my own process, then I just stumbled upon the UFO topic. I was always interested and curious, very fascinated by it, so that was definitely a driving force. But it was more motivated by really trying to figure myself out. Who am I? Where did I come from?
I came at that from the opposite direction. It's like the more I got into asking, well, who are the UFO people? What are the UFOs, and who are their pilots, and are there aliens out there? And it's like, well, who are they? And it's like it dawned on me. So, well, we really don't know who we are.
Right.
This is how can we relate to an extraterrestrial species if we don't know who we are?
Exactly.
So it's like my inner path to that, starting to question that kind of stuff, actually spun out of my UFO research.
Right. Well, that's a great example how it's what my work is all about. It's about individual, and every path is unique. There's, like Krishnamurti said, truth is a pathless land. With your own personal path and my path, we basically then are faced with a mirror at some point, looking at ourselves.
Right.
Yeah, and I'm glad you brought up the truth is a pathless land, because was it in Know Thyself, I believe it was, that was when you had stated the day you woke up in a fetal position and you said to the universe, I need to figure myself out. And there was a book that called out to you, and that was that book by Krishnamurti. And I have a clip from that, which, by the way, folks that are tuning in, I will play the full clip at the end of this broadcast. And I think you will much like it. It is from 1928. Yes. Bernhard, question for you. Have you ever seen a UFO?
Yes, I have.
Tell us about, okay. Would you mind sharing that experience? Or
no, sure. I mean,
okay.
Yeah, I mean, that has been, actually one of the more profound experiences was when I was with my band, Revolve. We were living in Venice in a house together, classic musician lifestyle. Converted the garage into a rehearsal room, so we were just rehearsing, it was during the day, one weekend, I believe. And then we take a break, we stand outside, and then the singer of my band looks up and he's like, hey, check this out. What is it up there? It's kind of something, it was a clear blue sky, no cloud, and no chemtrails either.
Yeah.
And so this weird object in the far distance. So we all looked at it and we all saw it, and it was just hovering there and then moving slowly left and right. So it was really far up, so it couldn't be a helicopter or a plane or weather balloon, whatnot. And, it just moved in these strange movements I've never seen before. And it was just hovering there. And then we observed it for 10, 15 minutes. And then the next thing it just was gone, So that was, and then actually interestingly, after that sighting, then there were some posts, I forget where it was. I saw on the internet, about this sighting. UFO sighting in Venice, or so some people took actually close-ups of this picture, and it was this weird, object that almost seems to be morphing, like it wasn't even very physical, like this whole high strangeness around UFO phenomena, that they are not really physical spaceships, but
right. Like a plasma field, it's like a plasma being,
like weird, exactly, and then let's keep in mind, UFO means unidentified flying object, so that's really what it was. I had no clue what it was. And then at other sighting, I was experimenting with it actually. I was camping out with some friends in down south, Big Bear, and I was getting away from the camp, so I was sitting down on a rock and just meditating, and like, okay, I want to now I want to call in a UFO. I want to consciously just focus on that, and close my eyes and focused. And next thing I look up, and this, triangle-shaped object, just flew right over my head. It was not very low. It was high up, but it was definitely not a plane or anything. It was a weird shape, and it was like, okay, that's interesting. So so I had these sightings. I never had like a close, quote unquote, encounter, like when I see a craft like very up close or anything. Mm-hmm. But there have been several of these incidences I just described.
It's very interesting, and I have to share that it was the 1980. It was the Billy Meyer contact, Pleiadian contact, that actually inspired my involvement in all this UFO craziness. And I noticed that in your UFOs, Aliens, and Questions of Contact, you make reference to Barbara Marciniak's book, The Bringers of the Dawn. Mm-hmm. And I remember when I first read that, it was like I was like getting letters from home.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
I was like, gosh, this stuff makes so much sense to me. And it's like, it's almost as if, somebody out there says, yeah, we really feel bad that you're stuck on this wacko planet, but we'd like to send you these messages just to let you know that you're okay and things are okay. And it's just to give you some kind of broader context of what's really going on here. And I kind of sense that you got kind of a similar take on that book.
Absolutely. I mean, when I first read that book towards the end of the 90s, and it also came to me, obviously, through amazing synchronicities, coincidences. A friend just gave it to me, basically. Right. Or a friend of a friend, actually. I didn't even know the person. And reading it was like, it really resonated on me on a deeper level, like really like something, I already know this.
Yes.
Not your typical resonating in terms of like you're learning something new. Mm-hmm. And it's like you said, it was like, this is like the manual I forgot to take with me for this incarnational experience, So it really it just confirmed so much of like what I've always felt and knew deep inside, but never could express myself. Right.
Exactly. Right. And I gotta say, it's a channeled book, and I'm always kind of iffy and cautious about channeled material. But I gotta say, it's like reading the text of that book. It's just like it just kind of put my mind at ease. It's like, somebody else out there understands what you're going through right now, and it's it's like. Just follow your path and follow how things unfold, and it will reveal itself to you. And what was the thing was really interesting is like David Icke came out with a book called Children of the Matrix not long after Bringers of the Dawn. And in his book, he makes no reference whatsoever to the Pleiadians or channelings or any of the stuff that's any direct reference to Barbara Marciniak's book. But his book, Children of the Matrix, validated, boom, 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 every point that was in Barbara Marciniak's book, but he had researched it independently. So it's like, wow, this is like confirmation that what she's talking about is like spot on.
I mean, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
Like the topic of channel material is literally a topic on its own, right? On that matter, because, I just want to make that point, because what most people understand, there are vast different levels of channeled material, and there's a lot of nonsense and garbage out there as well.
Yes.
And, for me, Bringers of the Dawn, Palladium, but also a lot of people understand, when Barbara Marciniak talks about the Palladians, I think that the whole concept of Palladians has been also hijacked and distorted by the New Age. Right. When the so-called Palladians in Barbara Marciniak's work are actually, higher density beings, thought forms, not like alien entities in itself. Exactly. They even say they are us in the future on a higher density state. So it ties, the illusion of time and linear time and all of that, and transmitting messages back into time. So all of that. So, it's like they're not really separate from us as if they are some sort of alien and beautiful Pleiadian, alien beings or whatnot. They come from a completely non-physical higher state.
Exactly.
Right. But, any channel material is never 100% foolproof. It always has to go through the lower levels, lower densities, through the filter of whoever's transmitting information through the belief system. And I think Barbara Messinek did a great job. But even the Bringers of the Dawn, there's some stuff I can see now, as I have reread the book several times, where her own filter was coming through and distorting little things here and there. And it's fine. You just have to use your, discernment. But what I was really amazed with the stuff in Bringers of the Dawn is for the first time I heard the concept of, what she talks, or they talked jokingly, the dark shirts, right? The dark side of...
Or the Lizzies. She calls them the Lizzies.
Exactly. And the whole concept of hyperdimensional control, and that consciousness is food, and we're not top on the food chain, and they feed off of our, of our soul energy. So that really, blew up everything open, as opposed to what we usually have heard in New Age type kind of channeling. Where it's all up and light and our space brothers are here to save us, which I also really liked with her work. They really cleared, we're not here to rescue. You're your own rescue team.
Exactly.
You need to be your own leaders.
Bernhard, I want to ask you something, though. Bernhard, what is your definition of what a channel is?
My definition? Wow. I don't know. For me, it's like, you can on a very general level that we are all sometimes quote unquote channel when we're really connected to our deeper truth, divinity, higher self. I feel I'm sometimes quote unquote channeling when I'm writing or get some insights and type into gnosis, higher knowledge. But when you look actually, but also in this history of Barbara Messinek, what she has actually been through before, she really did a lot of self work and deeper work, and before she was able to make that contact. It didn't happen in she didn't go to like a weekend channeling workshop or something, and then all of a sudden, boom.
Right.
So she has, and there are different, then there are different types of channeling, right? There's like some force work speaking through a person, which can be tricky, right? Because there can be infringement of free will. There can be, some people use spirit boards, as a tool, which has also been demonized with the whole like Hollywood idea of Ujjayi boards or whatever,
right?
And anything in between. But it really depends on the level I feel of the embodiment of that person, right? And I have problems with certain channel. I don't know if I want to call them out here, but where you like it becomes a guru thing, right? They gather around every weekend, ask questions, and it gives these answers or whatever. Then in the broader New Age mainstream, even like I have to say like Abraham Hicks, I just that's kind of like the whole distortion of law of attraction and whatnot, and just overgeneralization of spiritual concepts into all kinds of alien entities claiming, even like I can say Bashar, that he has some great things to say, but I have some issues with what he's saying. I read his book, Blueprint for Change.
Have you ever met Bashar?
Yeah, I've met him. He lives close by here, actually, I think, or used to at least. I met him. But again, truth is mixed with lies, right?
Sure.
So it's just discernment, and I see people then too much, they get into this authoritarian mindset and don't question anything, and just anything channel material is being taken on face value, which also ties into the distortion of resonating with something, right? And I truly believe that the concept of resonating, as I've experienced with Barbara Messinek's book, but I've also seen in my past, because I kind of took the New Age, swallowed the New Age pill at some point in my path, because I was just taking in everything like soaking it up like a sponge without discernment, and was mistaken resonating with wishful thinking or emotional projection, of like, oh, this must be true because it feels good, right?
Right.
That kind of stuff. But that's not really true resonating. It's like you have to really, on a deeper level, tune the reading instrument yourself to really tap into true resonating, right? Because as I've said before, a lot of fundamentalist Christians resonate literally, like emotionally, and feel with on the core of their beings with the Bible in literal terms, and think the Earth is 7,000 years old.
Right.
The same in the New Age, which is similar to religions, a lot of it based on blind belief and emotional projections and wishful thinking. And then they mistake resonating with this emotional, just, overexcitement, so to speak. Right?
Did you read the book, The Law of One?
The what?
The Law of One.
The Law of One, yeah. The raw material?
Raw material, yeah. What's your take
I've
on
read,
that?
I think I've read all of those the books. Yeah, I like that. I like that as well. It kind of goes in line, especially with the concept of wanderers.
Yeah.
Again, it's more an answer question format. A lot of the material is a bit more complicated. Bringers of the Dawn is more easier to digest.
Okay.
And but it's interesting because it was also kind of working through a filter of what's her name, Carla Ruckert, I believe, the channel. But she had also her own belief system conditioning with Christianity and Jesus and something around that. So they had to kind of like work it that way. But what was interesting, it was kind of a group channel, and they really worked and set it up and really tried to approach it quote unquote scientifically to a degree. That's I feel why there was a high level contact as well. But again, within that, there are distortions as well, right? And I mean, the way I take it, similar, I make horizontal research, so to speak, confirming what confirms each other and what are the contradictions. Because if you look at all the channel material, it's impossible for all the channel material to be true because there's so many things contradict each other, right?
Yes.
Bernhard, what was back in the 80s and into the 90s also, the New Age movement, it really felt good. I was into that for like 13 years with my second wife, and we just guru hopped for 13 years. And it felt good, and it was all happy, and all sweet and love and light and all that stuff, until, the bottom dropped out in 2001 with 9/11. And that was like the slap in the face. It's like, this is where all your love and light gets you. This is they're going to blow up the trade towers in New York City. It's like, so since then, it's like, wait a minute. It's like, let's go back and re-examine all of this. And it's like, I'm not going to swallow the George Adamski, Happy Venusians thing as easily as I did in 1952. And it's like, wait a minute. It's like, I think this is where the whole discernment issue comes in. I think for me and Yvonne both, it's like, wait a minute. It's like, it's not good enough to just say, yeah, I'm channeling Sananda or whoever. Right. And it's like, no, it's like, prove it. It's like, where's the proof? Where, show us that I don't want just a guru to follow anymore. I want to see that you are who you say you are, and that you really are channeling ascended masters or benevolent aliens or something. And if you can't prove it, then it's like, and I think to me, that's the mindset since 9/11. It's like it's a whole different ballgame now. It's like, it's time to be tougher and be much more discerning and to use more critical thinking.
Yeah, and also, to keep in mind in channel material in light of the hyperdimensional topic, that any channel will become corrupted and targeted right away, at some level. Even with Barbara Messinek, I love her early work, but I've been, to one of her workshops, like 2006 in Sedona was like 3-day workshop with a friend. And and she was just quote unquote channeling the Pleiadians and answering questions, giving you information. What struck me first is the crowd that attracted. It was this kind of guru worship Barbara Messinek putting on the pedestal. And some of the information she shared was like, this doesn't make sense. And I could feel how she was feeding off of the attention, and the ego came in.
Right.
That's how they get you, So kind of like, that's what I also want to make clear to listeners or readers to my work. Just because I quote somebody, anyone, doesn't mean I automatically support the whole work.
Did you get out your
cool.
bag and pull out the giant red flag that was sitting in your bag and pull it out and start waving it by any chance?
Yeah, I have to warn you that Yvonne does carry that red flag, and she's not hesitant about waving it. So
the problem with channel material, I think, do you know Tom Montauk and his work? Have you heard of him?
I know the term Montauk, but I don't know Tom Montauk.
Tom Montauk, it's a play on the Montauk Project, but he calls himself Montauk, Montalk. And I highly recommend to check out his website, montauk.net, Montalk. He was with me on the webinars. He was with me on the webinar about hyperdimensional interference and the love bite, and I've known him for over 10 years, email exchanges.
Yeah, he's playing video all about the issue of human predation, and I highly recommend that. Yes,
he wrote an excellent article, Standards of Channeling, where he talks about more channel material, and also understand that channel material should serve an inspiration, never take as face value, and on face value, that's what for Barbara Cindy, that was, it struck something deeper within me, like just ignited something, but I could not. How can I possibly prove what what she's saying? Something felt really right with me, And interestingly, like I recently have been through my own changes and going through a lot and learning lessons the hard way, as we all know, an initiation, so to speak, right, in our lives. And I was last year rereading Barbara Cindy's book, The Bringers of the Dawn, after 50 years or so. And now I'm reading the stuff, and now I've, finally have experienced what she is talking about, in terms of, light frequency, embodying, holding the frequency, anchoring the frequency. When you first read a book where there's deeper truth and like something within you recognizes it, but you haven't really, your mind gets it, but you haven't really experienced it.
Right.
Now I have experienced, certain things, and I know a lot of the things I cannot possibly prove to you in even logic. While critical thinking logic is important, it has also its limitations. The 5 sensory world, right? And that taps into like higher knowledge, gnosis, right? And experiences we have when we are deeper in our own soul integration process and anchoring process, where we tap into information which transcends the mind, right? And then we experience that, right? And that is, for me, applied knowledge, like as opposed to just intellectual knowledge, if that makes sense.
Hey, Bernhard, has Yvonne shared with you her personal gnosis and how she's kind of woke up to all this stuff herself?
Not
maybe,
a little bit.
Maybe we can get her to share some of her gnosis with us a little bit here.
Okay, is that what you say? I'm having my Skype cut out for a second, so I hope it's not for you.
Yeah, we have a little bit of interference.
We're having some interference, I do believe. So you want me to tell you how I woke up? Is that correct?
Please.
Yeah. What was your awakening?
My awakening. Oh boy. Well, having this near-death experience with my brain injury and going into the dark void. Through my NDE, I went into the void, and I was out of the matrix and out of the facade. And I came back with more than my 5 senses. And I came back with a voracious appetite in all things of this kind of new age, etheric order of what's going on. Where was I? How do I get back there? Because everything that's here is just BS.
In a nutshell.
In a nutshell, yeah.
Suddenly,
Are we having we're having interference again, aren't we? This is very interesting. So I hope you heard that. So a year ago, in fact, do you know that September 15th is my 5-year anniversary for my brain injury? So, but it was a year ago, Bernhard, that I literally just bing, the last of my brain fog lifted. And when I say I had to relearn how to walk, talk, chew, swallow food, that's what I had to go through. But during that experience, I was in and out of 2 different realms. Now, when I woke up last year, I just can't get enough information. So your audio is breaking up, Jim. Hey, Bernhard, can you hear me? Just making sure.
I can hear you fine, yeah.
Okay. Jim, do you want to...
Yvonne, I hear you just fine. Can you hear me?
Yep, we can hear you. You bet.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. Okay, very interesting. Yeah, it's very, I don't know why that's happening. Apologies. Let me know if you want to restart it. We can always do that. Just let me know. If it gets worse, do let me know. Okay, Jim?
Will do.
So I have been, okay, so through this experience and learning about myself, the old Yvonne, we'll just call me that, Bernhard, the old Yvonne was a very trauma-based individual that comes from a very interesting story. Me now, today, this Yvonne that you're talking to, it has dropped the ego baggage, has dropped the vanity, has taken the etheric bull by the horn, so to speak, and what is the truth? Let's go, people. Okay? Is it secret space program? Okay. Is it the cloaked, are there cloaked ships? Who's the whistleblowers? Are the whistleblowers telling the truth? Are these disinfo agents? There's all of this, there's so many different stories and there's so many different accounts, and then people coming up with additions to their to whistleblowing stories and then some. But then for me, what it comes down to, for where I experienced where I was, it all comes down to sitting within yourself so far deep that you even take it a step further within yourself to sit in the essence of what you are, which is energy, and truly acknowledge the beauty that you are as this energy essence, essentially. And it's that simple. That's where the truth is. The truth lies within you. It comes, and then it comes outward. And what comes outward is this magnifico energy of light and love. But it's not that, it's not the love and light, love and light, love and light. We can hear all that all we want, but to get there, you got to go through the darkness.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Right.
Yes.
Nice. Thank you for sharing, Yvonne.
Sorry, I was getting a little passionate there.
That's good. We like
You're
that.
welcome.
Yeah, she's delightfully passionate here with this stuff. Yeah, it's like St. Francis says, what we're looking for is what is looking. So it's that consciousness that's looking out your eyes. It's just like that's the awareness. That's the consciousness that you're actually looking for. So it's not going to be out in this world around us. It's like what you said. It's like it's within.
Mm-hmm.
Right, and we spoke earlier, especially in this day and age, with all the information overload, the internet, and it's great to have all this information, and and the so-called truth movement, which I don't even like that term, of all this, it's kind of becoming like a media spectacle, and it's similar like the mainstream media, and people don't question the alternative media, which also needs to be questioned, right? And
Yes.
it also turns into big business with conferences popping up and people being invited because they draw based on their popularity, because they draw people and all this kind of stuff. And there's no
because it makes money. It makes money.
There's that, and then there's ego and narcissism involved. I see that a lot as well. A lot of people presenting interesting information, but I don't see many of them really. And I don't want to generalize. There are pretty amazing individuals out there as well, but forget the most important part, right? Which is that embodiment process, the inner work to truly wake up and be the change, to anchor the higher frequencies, right? Mm-hmm. For example, I've met some people, like I've been to my share of UFO conferences and this and that, and when I meet some of these people in person, it's like their energy and like the lack of embodiment is just like, whoa, it's like, it's almost kind of shocking for me, because for me, where I was coming from, it was always assuming that, of course, you need to do both at the same time. It's most important about the inner process, starting with basic psychology, check your ego and narcissism and inner child and whatnot, up to just, embodiment processes, get out of your head and connect to nature and all this kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. But I see this sorely lacking. And then it becomes this information overload, and then people have their favorite figureheads. They follow like a leader or guru. Even the research community, And then, like you said, Jim, or Ivan, with all these contactees and whistleblowers left and right, and more information, and you kind of like the whole point. It's not even about quote unquote truth seeking anymore. I feel a lot of people that are just into sensationalism. Oh, what was the latest sighting? What have you seen? This UFO, this experience? Tell me about your experience. It's similar like people in the psychedelic movement or ayahuasca scene getting hooked on the peak experience. Like, I want more of this peak experience rather than do the work, right, when you're off of it. So I see that happening. And, when, we, like you said, Jim, before, like, or Yvonne, once you're down the rabbit hole, you can get lost there. I see so many people getting lost in the rabbit hole and detours and stuck. And, like Gurdjieff said, dreaming to be awake but being still asleep, right? While they fool themselves that they are quote unquote awake. And what does awake truly mean anyway, right?
Right.
Well, that's what I've seen in the UFO field, especially as when doing the TV show. We started in '91, and I ran with that for 7 years, and we could see this pattern. There would be a new sensational story that would come up. It would be Bob Lazar, or it would be, the guy down in Florida, the Gulf Breeze story. And the UFO community, the population, it's like they're like minnows in the water. So you throw a piece of food out there, and they all swarm to the food. And then you throw another bite, a chunk of food over here in the water, and then they swarm over to that. And you would see and that has not stopped to this day. Every time there's a new person out there, a new personality, you see the swarm go to that. And, and at the end of the day, it says, we haven't got a nickel's worth of truth out of any of these people. It's like, where's the beef? It's like, it's like you can just munch on Twinkies just so long and not get any food value. And it's like, wait a minute, where's the food value in all this? And
especially in that field, the UFO
exactly.
Field,
and this is once again where I take my hat off to you, Bernhard. It's like your website, you got tons of good food value in the information that you have shared in your videos and in your blogs and so forth. And it's like, for God's sake, keep it up, because we really need it.
Thank you.
I think. Oh, go ahead.
No, I just want to say in general, like, also, like, my process has also been like, I would never claim to have figured it all out and know it all. For me, it's also my individual process. Like, if you see my writings, a lot of I write is also my personal experiences, and I do research and tie them into the bigger picture perspective, and I keep learning. There's always more lessons to learn, right?
Exactly.
So there's never the point like, oh, now I have figured it all out kind of thing.
Right.
Because that's, for me, when you want to talk about quote unquote meaning of life, for me anyway, it's about soul evolution, right? And on a deeper embodied level. And that, again, the process is within and without.
But the thing is, that what you encourage, and this is so lacking because it's not even taught in our education system anymore, is critical thinking. Right. People don't. We live in a culture that doesn't even understand what critical thinking is. I mean, it's been educated out of our culture. People used to use critical thinking. Used to be encouraged to use critical thinking, and now it's like, if I don't get the information I want in 5 minutes of sound bites on TV, then it isn't worth anything.
Right.
Yeah, and it's by design.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly. Bingo.
Part of the program is to take away any kind of constructive criticism, and people don't even know how to take criticism anymore. You can't even have an opinion without. Oh my goodness! People don't know what to do when you have an opinion. Right.
Right.
Or it's like even the word truth itself has become a meaningless cliche.
So even the mainstream media, it's cleverly called people now truthers.
Yes.
This negative, connotation,
right. Right.
So they say, you're a conspiracy theorist. As an ad hominem attack.
Right. Yeah. You're instantly marginalized with that, right?
So here's one though, guys. Right. So I was just at a conference, as you guys know, and the listeners know. And for me, I was humbled because I saw the authenticity authenticities from the speakers, and that is what I wanted to see, and that's what was verified for me. And the authenticity of what you believe and how you share it, the human side of you shows, and I love that. And that to me speaks volumes. It's how do we okay, so and I'm still I'm a new groovy little bean. You guys have been doing this for years. So for us new beans in here, what is it? And for anybody tuning in right now that is new to this whole, awakened or new age, whatever you want to call it, what are some tools, Bernhard? What are some tools for people, like how to discern? How do we understand what it is that we're listening to? Because when somebody hears something, wow, there's this whole other world going on off of this world, I don't take every word verbatim. You got to research it. But what are some steps for new folks to take?
Well, on the basic level, as Jim also alluded to, is already understanding basic critical thinking, understanding logic, how to use the mind, you know what I mean? There are limitations to it, but, for example, basic, what is called the trivium, right? Understanding how to apply critical thinking logic, understanding the major logical fallacies, which are, that's a learning curve on its own. Back in the ancient times, that was actually taught in school, right? To help to not tell people what to think, but how to think. So to train your logical mind how to apply critical thinking, but also goes deeper than that, because even logic has its limitations, right? It's all in terms of accessing higher knowledge and deeper impressions. So the embodiment process is very, very important. Getting out of the head, tuning into your body for various body-mind practices to sharpen your intuition in your gut, the female seat of being down in the pelvic floor. The non-verbal response, because your body gives you clues all the time, but we've been so wounded, traumatized, and desensitized that we can't access it or don't trust it. And if we don't trust our inner guidance, we look for outside guidance, leaders, gurus, whatever, and can be discerning. So then also listening, when you're listening to a speaker, for example, that's why it's very tricky, with the whole internet. People can be very clever with words, and when they're good writers and good with words, they can say all the right things, but if you meet them in person, it's a whole different story, right? So it's also when you listen to a speaker, for example, not only using critical thinking, understanding, logic and whatnot, but your bodily intuition, tuning into the speaker. Is he or she grounded? What does does it make feel? That nonverbal response in your body. Even if something feels off, you cannot quite tell what it is logically, but something doesn't feel right, So that's a sign to listen to,
Exactly.
And there are certain things the mind cannot answer, but your body can give you like more, the voice without words, so to speak. And that's what I go by, more like also like I really, where the proof is in the pudding, so to speak, is if the person is also really like engaged in this deeper self-work process.
Absolutely.
And not just sharing information on an intellectual level.
Yeah, we need to be asking Yvonne this question rather than her asking us, because her intuitions are so acutely attuned right now that she can walk into a group like at Mount Shasta, and it doesn't matter what they're saying. It's like what the person is speaking so loud that she can't hear what they're saying. It's like she is so attuned to their energies, and it's like some people up there. Well, you share with us, Yvonne, what we're picking up. And not everybody's groovy beans up there, right?
Jeez. Well, thank you for the kind words. I'm no professional at this, though. But, I think because of the TBI, I got desensitized. And so this was the first time I was in a crowd. And I realized, holy shit. And yes, I just cussed on air. Enjoy it. Holy shit. I'm really picking up on many different senses. I'm not going to go into details on which ones, but I had to remove myself from crowds because I was, they're from a mix of sadness to anger to cuckoo cuckoo-ness. I will say it. Yes, folks, there was some cuckoo cuckoo going on. Yeah, there was. But I have to be honest, and I always am. I cried. I sobbed under a tree. There was a few people there. There was so much different energy going on and so many different vibrations visually, and but there was also a lot of beauty too. Don't get me wrong. There was a ton of beauty to be seen and to be felt. But it's very interesting. Oh gosh, how do I direct this? I find it very important that everybody sit with yourself, observe what you're feeling, observe what energy is around you, and what you're not tactilely, but in a way, what's that word? Palpable? Is that the right word? Palpable. What is palpable to you and your inner essence? What is it you're feeling? Because I was testing myself during the conference. I would start crying, and I'm like, my gosh. And I told Bernhard, we were talking about this. I was like, what am I crying about? And I realized it was a woman I was standing next to. I was picking up on her pain and her sadness. I went back and I stood next to her again, and the same thing happened. And just actually yesterday, I ended up speaking with her, and I asked her directly if she was in pain, and the answer was yes. So I was like, whoa, okay. So Bernhard, it goes to exactly what you're saying. You have to, society and the food that they try to shove down our throats, from the food, the water, what they're spraying us with, they're dumbing down everybody's senses so nobody knows what senses are anymore. Does that make sense? Yeah.
Yeah. On that note, I also wanted to say, because my main work is I work with individuals one-on-one. That's what I've been doing for the past 10 years, especially in body work and coaching and whatnot. And that process of really like quote unquote waking up or finding your true center and your own inner voice, it's a highly individual process that is different for each. And it's also not that easy. It's easy to say, oh, just trust your intuition, trust your feelings. That can be very misleading as well. For example, in New Age, just do whatever you feel like. Just trust your heart. Well, if you tell a heroin addict to do whatever he feels like doing, we know how that ends, right? Yeah. So feelings can be, then you have to differentiate feelings as well from true, like your own deeper emotions, from what is true, to feelings that are based on past trauma, wishful thinking, or projections and all this kind of stuff, which is not true intuition. So, it really depends on individuals. It takes time to really be able to find that inner voice, that intuition that truly knows. And sometimes, as I've seen in my own process as well, sometimes we acknowledge, well, I don't actually know right now. I cannot trust myself right now. I'm actually lying to myself. That's actually a key point. And if you look at various ancient esoteric teachings, including Guenther and other people, who talk about the necessity of going through disillusionment, of truly realizing that you have been living a lie, that you've been lying to yourself, and you cannot trust yourself, actually, to a degree, and that takes work to find your way back home, and not everybody had an experience like you had, Yvonne, obviously, of like, boom,
right.
And you're still obviously in the process of integrating it all.
Yes.
But, that's to keep in mind. It's not, just trust your intuition. Like, some people are tuned into this more than others, but it is a process, right? And I feel myself sometimes, I'm very aligned, very in tune, but I sometimes get thrown off. I jump into my head and like, whoa, I got to get myself centered again. But it's like, it's necessary work on a daily basis, on a basic practical level. What helps me personally, well, I have similar issues with you, with Yvonne, about crowds. That's why I live by myself in nature, right? I see more animal life than humans, other than my clients.
Yes.
And but also, like, I need to keep the work. It's about consistency. I do my daily qigong in the morning, barefoot out under the trees. My meditation in the evening. I do my yoga. I try to go in the ocean every day just to cleanse myself in salt water. I'm just get into my body. These simple things. I receive body work. I need to receive body work because I work on a lot of people. So it's this. You have to like keep at it, so to speak, because there's a counterforce. The matrix is trying to keep us down in this frequency prison, and is specifically attacking those ones, interfering with those ones who are in the process or the emergence of waking up. And like you said before, everything in the Matrix is designed to keep us disembodied and keep our bodies poisoned and toxic, to keep us from connecting with our inner core, our intuition, right? And true intuition on that note is also not just a feeling or an emotion. It's really hard to put into words until you really experience it. It's this deep embodied knowing, it's not this like, blissful, like euphoric thing. It's just like a very sober but deep and real and kind of really calm thing, actually. But and it's very subtle, and it can easily be clouded by thoughts, or emotion, or conditioned emotions that come up, and because we are a very complex machine, like as Gurdjieff said, right? Each one of us, we have so much is happening in this day and age on a multidimensional level anyway for us as persons, right? Yes. So be it to deal with our individual childhood wounding, trauma we've gone through, or karma, past lives, all of that, and hyperdimensional interference, our personal soul lessons and purpose. So much is happening that our mind cannot possibly grasp. So it's important to take time off from the external world, and really go in and really also make an effort to connect with nature. That's what I can highly recommend.
Absolutely. I think that's very important. And my goodness, we're just talking away here. I didn't realize it's 4:05. Shall we take a break? Would you guys like a break? I think so.
Sure. Sounds good. Yeah.
You want about 5 minute break?
5 minutes is good for me.
Okay, folks, listen up. We will be back with Bernhard, Guenther, and Jim Nichols, and I want to talk more about the Matrix. I do. Yes. So we will take a 5-minute break, folks. We will be back. Okay, folks, welcome back to Triple W Full Disclosure Now. I am your host, Yvonne Palermo. We are joined today with the one, the only, the really groovy, the grooviest of the groovy beans. Well, one of them. Bernhard Guenther. I want you to check out his website. It is veilofreality.com. Also, www.bernhardguenther.com, and I'm going to spell that for you. It is BERNHARD GUENTHER. He does some holistic and integrative body work as well, folks. And no joke, he's also doing a time of transition Peru retreat November 20th through 28th. So make sure you check that out. Also today joining us is my fellow groovy bean, Mr. Jim Nichols. Make sure you check out his website at www.jimnicholsufo.net. Jim and I will be speaking at the transformationalshiftevents.com this October 21st. Check it out if you want to know more. Now, I do want to tell you, Thursday night, Nazi Saucers with Augie Noss, Jim Nichols. Also Friday night, we're going to be discussing the heart chakra, Og Tella Spency and Eric Rains. And then September 15th, we will be discussing that conference, the Transformational Shift Events, with Jim Nichols, Tolek, and let me get my names. Tolek, we got Stuart Swerdlow, we've got Cheyenne Stone, Adana, and Mark Kimmel. So make sure you stay in the know with that. Okay, welcome back, guys, and I hope you had a nice break. Welcome back. I do want to let the listeners know, if you have any questions for anybody on the panel, please type it in capital letters. And we were in such a good conversation. I have a question for both of you. And so here's my thing. You know, we were talking about love and light, I love you, which I do. I love you, by the way. But here I'm going back on my own words. When I came back from out of the Matrix, when I was out of the Matrix, when I was out there, you know, I felt what was the most authentic sense of the word love. And I want to know, do you think what people think love is here on this earth, do you think it's a true sense of the word, Bernhard and Jim? What is love?
Oof. I made a whole documentary on that.
In 25 words or less, Bernhard.
Ready, get set, go.
Well, this way, I mean, like I said, I think love is one of the most abused words in the world, you know, besides the word God, maybe, or awakened. You know, for me, out of my own experience, also in working, you know, I feel love, the level of love we can access, we can receive and experience and give depends on our individual level of being and integration. So, you know, all of us are wounded, distorted on some level. And then some of us had peak experiences like you had, you know, in your experience, I had these experiences, you know, mostly on also psychedelic kind of journeys, you know, where you feel this ultimate cosmic love that is not bound to your body and just beyond anything else, right? Right. So it's like kind of like shows where we come from. And what I find in my experience, I don't know it's about you, but that feeling of love was not just this blissful, you know, like this kind of, it was not like an emotional, it was just like a deeper, again, knowing like even the ancient esoteric teachings like love is light is knowledge, love is knowledge, not intellectual knowledge, but deeper understanding of like every, you know, and visceral experience that you're one with everything else, basically, right? But, you know, on that path, we are learning lessons in love. Everything's are lessons in love. Relationships are lessons in love, you know, and, you know, we always look for, you know, project outwardly somebody who loves us or find the perfect partner and all of this. But most often we don't check ourselves. How do we love ourselves? Not in a narcissistic way, obviously, but, you know, how are we truly taking care of ourselves? Healthy self-love, you know, and how, you know, when we talk about love, are we just talking about emotions and feelings? Is that really truly love? You know, is there something deeper to it? So, you know, like, I like to, in terms of regards to the question, what is love? I like to take the Krishnamurti approach, which he answers this question. Well, what we need to answer that kind of question with pointing out what is love, what love is not. You know, is love jealousy? Is love attachment? Is it possession? You know, is it, you know, all these things, is it even passion? Is it sentimentality? You know, all these things we take as love, or very abstract man-made concepts like I love my country. Like, what does it mean? I love my country. It's a man-made border of like this illusory entity called what is this? You know, how can you love this? It's an illusion. You know, based on a false identification and illusion in itself, because you identified with the personality and because you were born in some place that identifies itself with this nation name, and then we're giving this passport, right? So people mistake all, you know, love in many different ways, and I tried to explore this topic of love in the documentary Love, Reality, and Time of Transition, and not coming from the point of view of like I figured it out, I know what love is, just based on my own struggle and questioning, you know, and so the path continues. But what I've found in myself, my own embodiment process, that I'm experiencing more and more something of a greater love, which is nothing related to any particular person, but just being in love, quote unquote, of life, and just accepting everything as it is, and just having more faith in life, and just experiencing being more tuned into the present moment, and just being grateful, you know, and just with very basic things.
So, am I going to get a shot at this?
I'm sorry, yeah, Jim, go ahead.
Not at all. No. Your explanation is brilliant. I have to fall back to my own personal experience with this. And it's like, if you've ever been head over heels, knocked out, totally crazy in love with somebody, I've had that experience at least twice in my life. And, you know, you can go back and I think about this and say, well, were you really in love? Is it really love? Or, you know, it was, you know, it was an experience that was so profound, I can't even put it into words. But you can dismiss it and say, oh, you know, it was just a sexual attraction. You're just tripping off on your endorphins. Mm-hmm. And I think, well, that's like saying, well, yeah, if you take LSD or ayahuasca, you're just tripping off on your imagination here. And I would have to say that when I was in love, and yeah, I'm sure my endorphins were going full blast, but were those endorphins moving me into a higher level of reality? Because I swear to God, it's like when I was in love, it was like, yes, I'm in this world, but I see it from a different level. I see it from a different dimension, and I'm in love with everything. I love the world. I love the stupid little town I grew up in. I love everything.
That was that a facade?
Like, hello?
Well, unless you've experienced it, it's like trying to explain the color blue to somebody who's never had that experience. It's like, no.
That's another good thing, by the way. We're talking about also, you know, for me, that's a good point, Jim. Love is like a state of consciousness, you know? Right. Something.
But let me go on with it, because I feel like what I was experiencing was love, but at such a teeny tiny frequency that this is like the max of what you can actually tolerate on this planet. And it's like if you had the full blast of love from the universe, it would probably knock you right out of your body.
No, your body can contain it. That frequency.
Exactly. And here's Yvonne, who's had this experience where she was out of her body. Yeah. And so she perceives that love, quote unquote, from a totally different perspective. But I can only go by my own personal experience. And it's like, yeah, what I was experiencing was an altered state of reality.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And that's great. That's what you should go by, your own personal experience.
And it's like I couldn't talk. You can't talk yourself into it. You can't pick somebody out of a crowd and say, "Oh, I'm going to feel this way about you." It's like there was no volition in it. It's like, holy shit, why am I feeling this?
You know, but on that note,
it was so intense, and it's like it's a feeling you just don't run into every day.
Right. But you know, on that note, that can be tricky too, which ties into Eve Lorgan's work and what I've written
I understand that
as well. The Dark Side of Cupid and the Alien Love Bite, where these blissful, over-the-top love experiences are manipulated, right?
Exactly. Right.
On an emotional level. Yeah.
Yes, and I love
Well,
you.
that brings up the whole issue of the Matrix itself, doesn't it?
Okay, here we go.
Okay.
Matrix, take us in. Bernhard, what do you think about the Matrix? Do you think it's real? Do you think we're in a Matrix? What's your what have you? Well, here's the thing: you're a shaman, and you've done medicine plants, and you've had
I don't call
mushrooms
myself
and-
shaman though, just for the record.
Okay. All right. But okay, so in those experiences, what's your take now on the Matrix, or what we're in, or what do you think?
Well, I pull a Morpheus. What is the Matrix? You have to see it for yourself.
Exactly. Right.
Yeah.
There are different levels, so you can look at on a basic mainstream level, what I call the mainstream Matrix, which is just education, government, mainstream media, corporations, banking system, So some people see through that matrix and then they think they're woken up to that level, but that's just the outer level. And then you go a little bit deeper, and you tap into maybe secret societies, the shadow government, secret space program, all of that. And, or chemtrails, geoengineering, the Illuminati, deeper levels of that quote unquote matrix of certain forces that keep us imprisoned. But it's still the 3D matrix, and I feel that all the 3D matrix is just are shadows on the wall for the most part, as depicted in Plato's allegory of the cave. Because what I've come to realize, understand through my research, also experiences, is that the true matrix is hyperdimensional, from which the 3D matrix is projected into or manifested. And there are hidden forces, hyperdimensional beings, entities, however shape or form they may have, who have manipulated and controlled humanity through genetic manipulation and inserting belief system, religious, dogmatic, whatever, even certain New Age ideas into the human consciousness from a non-physical level. And even what we see in the 3D matrix, bankers, corporations, presidents, or even Illuminati, secret societies, whatever, they themselves are also subjected, are just pawns in the big game, right?
Yes.
So most of what I've realized, the mistake, quote unquote mistake, I don't want to say mistake because it's all their lessons, and I've been there too, right? Focused on the 3D aspect of Matrix and kind of project their own shadow or hate onto certain people, psychopaths and whatnot. For example, on a very basic level, right? I've written about this before. Government is the most basic setup of the Matrix control system. It is, no matter how you want to spin it, it's based on an illusionary idea, an illusion of national identification in countries and all this nonsense. And then authoritarianism, that a group of people can decide for us what's best for us, so to speak, And then you see how people, especially now with the election race, whatever, project all this, their hate and disgust or anger against Clinton or Trump, whatever. But you have to understand from a hyperdimensional perspective, we are being farmed for energy, frequency, right? So they feed off of these negative projections, whatever the divide and conquer techniques and whatever people project into like the political race and all the friction and arguing and whatnot that happens there. That's what they feed off of. That's all they want, that's what it comes down to. And then whatever Clinton or Trump, they're just puppets in the game, like occupied by entities. That's basically what it comes down to. You can see it on a physical level that they are psychopaths, but even psychopaths are fully controlled by hyperdimensional entities. So, the matrix control system really, from the bigger perspective, ties into the hyperdimensional realm and that we are not on top of the food chain. And also, then you can even look at it from the idea of evil, right? I see, and a lot of people, was in that space myself. Again, I'm not taking myself out of the equation. You get into like a little bit of the savior program and saving the world from evil, getting rid of evil and activism and this and that and fight it, But, from a really higher perspective, evil has its free will to exist in this duality. It is also an expression of the one, right? It's experiencing itself subjectively, just the dark side of creator. And it has, what we have the choice is through our discernment and soul evolution of what we align ourselves with, right? And it's about transcending the matrix, not trying to fight it or save the world or anything. Because everything that friction as we're in is actually also necessary for evolution. That friction creates the alchemical fire for transmutation. It's just how we deal with it and discern the shadows from the wall. And that's why the inner process is very, very important. But again, like, you know, that's what I feel is lacking in this day and age, you know, and it's the understanding of the hyperdimensional matrix. And yes, more people are becoming aware of it. And it's not an easy topic to research, right? Because you cannot, quote unquote, prove it with quote, five sensory science. You know, that's why that, you know, even Sri Aurobindo talks about it. I have recently got into his work. It's really getting into a state of yogic consciousness, higher consciousness, accessing noises through your embodiment process, self-work, where you can access a higher sensory perception, right? Where you can sense these entities or hyperdimensional interferences. For me, I'm not a clairvoyant. I don't see entities, but I've definitely developed more and more sensitivity to sense it, to sense them working through others, to sense them when they try to interfere with me. You know, to separate what is really coming from within me, or when my thoughts are being injected, manipulated, or my emotions are being manipulated. And it's a work in process, right? I'm learning as I'm going along. But as, you know, Don Juan said in Castaneda's work, it's a topic of all topics. For a reason.
Okay. Let me just jump in here real quick. That's interesting because I became aware of the concept of the Matrix actually from Bringers of the Dawn. Barbara Marciniak's book, where she talks about the Lizzies who are feeding off of human emotions and so forth. And then, of course, David Icke had his book, Children of the Matrix, which really takes that a step further. And then, of course, we have the Matrix movie, which actually portrays it.
Excellent.
They show it. They show this is how the bloody system works. Yeah. And Ivana just shared with you this link to What is the Matrix Control, which is the Montauk YouTube presentation.
Oh, that's an excellent video, by the way. Yeah,
Okay.
Great video. But it shows that actually that the Matrix is like a virtual reality creation. And I don't know, Bernhard, if you've tackled this one yet about this whole reality being artificial. That this is a virtual reality, and that we have within the limitations of our 3D bodies. You have to stop and think of how limited our perceptions are. And it's like they're custom designed to fit in the Matrix so we can be the cattle. So we can play the role as the cattle in the Matrix because it's the Matrix itself that we are feeding with our emotions. And the Matrix monitors you. And if you're not putting out, you know, the right amount of emotion or you feel a threat to the Matrix. And this is, Bernhard, this is where you talk about the predation and so forth. And the love bites. It's like if you're putting out the wrong energy, then the Matrix is going to monitor you and put things in your life to get you back into the Matrix program.
Yeah, they sent Agent Smith on you, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, it'd be like a moo-moo here and a moo-moo there. Here a moo, there a moo. Hey.
Exactly. I have been with Yvonne. Yvonne, and I have seen the Mr. Smiths come out of the woodwork and come after her. Just like, I said, what the hell is going on here? Yeah. And it's like, well, the Matrix doesn't like the energy that she's putting. Yvonne is a threat to the Matrix. End of story.
Oh.
Well, we all are.
Everybody who's in the process of awakening. Yeah.
Just having this conversation is a threat to the Matrix.
That's why it's a good in terms of the New Age, which completely distorts the whole idea of awakening. I think it's this blissful, linear way up, you know, and then distortion of the concept of reality creation, law of attraction, saying then, when you have bad things happen to you, it's because you have been thinking bad thoughts. So this whole self-shaming victim thing.
Yes. You know? Right.
When in fact, partly yes. I mean, we need to check our self-defeating beliefs and whatnot. So there's truth to it in parts. I don't want to throw the baby out the bathwater, but most often we're dealing with interferences and attacks from the Matrix controllers towards anyone who's in the process of awakening, right? Mm-hmm. So sometimes actually when you're under distress and shitty things happen to you, it's actually also a sign that you may be on the right path.
Exactly.
Or that you're doing something right because you are now getting all this interference, right?
Right. Well, let me tell you, Bernhard, like Jim said, I mean, I have witnessed Agent Smith, I visually, and he has visually. It's very interesting. And this kind of leads the conversation into talking about the universe and trusting the universe. And when the universe opens those doorways, do you want, Bernhard, so for folks that are tuning in here, what are signs that you can start trusting the universe, and that the universe is saying, here you go, walk the path, here you go? What
Well,
are some signs?
I feel the universe will truly support you if you truly commit to the path 100%. You know, even like in the Bible, and again, there are a lot of issues in the Bible, but there's a lot of truth from the esoteric level as well. You know, it says, and I don't care about the persona Jesus, but it is said, ask and knock, and you shall receive. You know, the New Age has distorted with ask and you shall be given, with some, you know, material addictions and whatnot. But the true esoteric meaning of the concept is, if you truly engage in the process and ask for, you know, not for help me, save me kind of thing, but they're asking for wanting the truth, to know the truth, to walk the path of truth, and, you know, and confront everything that's needed to find yourself, then the universe will support you and respond to you, the quote-unquote universe or spirit or whatever, and it will help you and assist you, you know, like that is individually perfect for your progress, right? It may come the perfect book along, like we've experienced, a perfect and person, teaching, practitioner, situation, and will guide you along. It won't like lead you by the hand, because, you know, from a higher perspective, even positive forces will exist. Also know that you need to do the work yourself. They're not going to bail you out. You need to be your own rescue team, right? So if you want the support of the universe, dedicate yourself 100%, you know, like jump into the fire of transmutation. That's in my own life. I've experienced that when I was near suicide, like I, you know, shared in one of my videos, like in laying in bed, crying for days in fetal position, and like, I have to stop this. I have to make an effort. Otherwise, I will not survive. I need to get out. The next day I went to the bookstore, and then this book was laying out there, and really caught my attention was Krishnamurti's Freedom from the Known. And it's like, whoa, you know? And then,
but Bernhard, you had made a decision to be proactive about changing that. And once you make that acknowledgement, or make that decision to be proactive, the universe just kind of steps in and say, okay, well, we'll help you with that. Exactly. But you had to make that decision yourself.
Exactly. That's what I was trying. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So, but does this show up as a glitch in their matrix, though, when the universe is like, yeah, hey, you're mastering your own frickin' creatrix here. Boop, boop, boop. Is it showing up on the you know, Agent Smiths as a glitch? Uh-oh. We've got somebody with high energy and is changing the plan here. So what's going on
but
there?
Then, you know, right away, and, you know, as Tom Montauk said, you know, in the process of awakening, like, you know, there's an equal counter reaction of like, okay, you know, the black guy, you know, the dark side, so to speak. You know, getting, okay, this guy, hold on. But you have to understand, you know, what I've talked about with Tom and others on the panel. These forces, hyperdimensional matrix entities, they're not as powerful as they want us to make to believe. They, you know, their tactic is stalking and intimidation and fear and paranoia, and they're trying to get us in this fear frequency. So as long as we buy when you buy into fear, into this fear frequency, the matrix has you, right? If you buy into looking for a guru, leader, savior, or anything to lead the way, the matrix has you. So it is, you know, there's also very complex laws in terms of free will. So the matrix agents or the matrix architects have also limitations, right? And it's also for their, Michael Topper wrote I like this man a lot. He wrote exceptional material in the early Matrix books. I don't know, Jim, maybe you remember those from Val Valerin, before the Matrix movie came out in the 90s.
Okay.
He wrote, I can send you some link to his work, but he wrote an excellent piece about the negative and positive and forces of higher densities. And, you know, for the negative matrix forces, they need the free will consent, right? They need people to agree with their agenda. Otherwise, they can't do anything. It's number one, they need the free will agreement, but they can manipulate the free will and get people into the trap of agreement, right? Through stalking and persuasion. Right. But also, in terms of food commodity or food nutrition, it's easier. It's more nutritious food if they get a person to align with their agenda out of their own free will rather than forced, so to speak. That's why they're not here interested to take us over, destroy us, because then they would lose what they're after.
Right.
So it's kind of trickery, and then also the ties in New Age. That's why it's especially in the channel world or like New Age contactees or like beings, entities, UFOs. Mm-hmm. Yeah, like Michael Topper said, Satan most often appears as angels of light, and that's a big topic I've been talking about, and Tom Montag as well, about the negative entities posing as positive ones.
Yes.
And that's where the discernment is necessary. It's not like the people like sometimes this whole hyperdimensional interference and the Matrix get this Hollywood exorcism or like whatever horror movie image as if it's so demonic. It can sometimes be that level, but most often the manipulation and interference is very subtle and can come in, as a sheep in wolf sheep clothing, so to speak.
But you, Bernhard, you remember the some of the things that Carlos Castaneda shared in the active side of infinity?
Yeah.
Well, he referred to the Mr. Smiths or the predators, the inorganic predators, as flyers.
Right.
And he stated that the flyers are inorganic beings that are an essential part of the universe, and they must be taken as what they really are: awesome, monstrous. They are the means by which the universe tests us. Mm-hmm. The flyers are the implacable challengers. They cannot be taken as anything else. If we succeed in doing that, the universe allows us to continue. And then he goes on to say, we are energetic probes created by the universe. And it's because we are possessors of energy that has awareness that we are the means by which the universe becomes aware of itself.
That's great excerpt, and that ties into also what I said before, the idea of evil, that nothing is wrong with reality. These entities, the beings, are not like, it's not a mistake of like,
no,
God,
it's like
God made a mistake, right? Or something like that.
It's a challenge. It's a challenge to bring out the best in ourselves.
Exactly, but that's what I've mentioned before in a webinar about hyperdimensional interference. You can, or wrote in articles, these entities can only get to us where we have own individual wounds and blind spots and issues. Mm-hmm. So, or the holes in the aura and lack of holes in our awareness. So instead of getting the blame game, which I see a lot of people blaming entities and getting self-pity, victim consciousness, which only feeds that cycle even more, but take responsibility, you can, like Tom Montag, he said the same thing, utilize them as teachers because they highlight what you need to work on. Like, or Castaneda's, Don Juan's concept of the petty tyrant as well, right? Yes. Mm-hmm. You can utilize them. They're actually necessary, even from the bigger picture perspective of the evolution of consciousness and soul evolution, to create the necessary friction, right?
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
So it's like
once you perceive them for what they are, then you can use them as a teaching experience to make yourself stronger.
Absolutely, exactly, and that's why these experiences, when I look in the past, if my own interferences and attacks, these were in fact initiations for me, when I was in the midst of it, it was not pleasant, and it was attacks left and right, like holy shit kind of thing.
Yeah, right.
Well, even I've seen this with Yvonne. I've seen her attacked, but she always comes back stronger than ever. So it's like
that's right. You know why? Here, let's bring in some laughter. You ready? You ready for this, Bernhard? Hold on to your hat. Here we go. You want to know what I am? Here we go. I'm a whistleblower. That's what I am right there. So speaking of whistleblowing, since I know you got to go, in about 15 minutes, I want to know, and I'm pretty sure Mr. Nichols wants to know as well, because we talked about this a little bit. Bernhard Guenther, what do you think about full disclosure?
Yes. Disclosure, like, okay, let's define the term. What disclosure in terms of the UFO topic?
UFO disclosure.
UFO
in
disclosure.
terms of that the government will disclose information.
Well, you want me to play that clip, Jim, from the Obama one?
Yeah, I think Obama already gave us disclosure. Nobody was paying attention.
All right,
Can't play that.
All right. Okay, folks, so I am going to play a clip. This was on which show was it? Kimmel?
It's on Jimmy Kimmel on March 12th, 2015.
Okay, here we go. And you guys won't hear it, but just hold on one sec. Ready? Here we go, folks.
So this is something I feel like, if I was the president, and it's unlikely that that is ever going to happen.
You never know.
If I was the president...
It was unlikely that I was going to be president.
The moment I was inaugurated, my hand would just, it'd still be hot from touching the Bible, and I would immediately race to wherever they have the files about Area 51 and the UFOs, and I go through everything to find out what happened.
Right.
Did you do that?
That's why you will not be president. Because that's the first thing that you would do.
The
aliens won't let it happen. You reveal all their secrets. They exercise strict control over us.
Now, you know, there are a lot of people that are going to examine your facial expressions here, every twitch, everything, and say, and of course, so did you look? Did you see? Did you explore?
I can't reveal anything.
Oh, really? Because President Clinton said he did go right in, and he did check, and there was nothing.
Well, you know, that's what we're instructed to say.
All right. I am...
Okay, folks, welcome back. Okay, go ahead, Mr. Nichols.
Yeah, President Obama said the aliens won't let it happen, meaning disclosure, reveal all the secrets. They exercise strict control over us. And if you look at his face, it's like, you know, I swear to God, he's telling the truth right there on national television, and everybody's laughing and nobody gets it.
Yeah,
he just told them.
Truth seekers comes through the mainstream sometimes too, and it's
Yes.
usually, you know, ridiculous or, you know, made a joke out of it, so not taken serious. But yeah, that's also my take on disclosure. First of all, I have to say I've heard that the truth will come out. The disclosure should have happened, I don't know, 15 years ago, then 10 years. And like I hear every year new predictions by quote unquote leading figureheads in this movement, so to speak, and whistleblowers left and right, and it hasn't happened, and I don't see it happening anytime soon. I'll come out and say there will be no disclosure, and if there will be disclosure, it will be complete distortion and lies. First of all, also because the public government, as we know, is not aware of the depth of this phenomena to begin with, let alone the abduction phenomena and the hyperdimensional aspect of it all.
Exactly. Right.
So it's like, no, if people wait for the government to come out with information, good luck. You know, they will focus obviously on the physical aspect, and it will be, if it happens, will be just loaded with disinformation.
Yeah, I have a book here on my desk that I bought in 1966. I bought this book when I was a junior in high school. And they said, any minute now, any minute, we're going to have disclosure.
See, but that's also like...
I'm still waiting.
That's interesting to mention from a psychological level of this whole, like, oh, disclosure's happen, just wait, it's going to happen. So
Just
people just give away, they just wait again for the external authority, you know, to do something about it.
Right, and if you're saying, wait a minute, if you believe in time, which I don't, time doesn't exist. I mean, a minute could be... You know,
it ties into like what Obama's slogan, the future to believe in, hope and change, all these projections into the future, right?
Well, let's, speaking of hyperdimensional entities and the Matrix, we've been led to believe that the aliens are little creatures that live on planets somewhere out in space, like we live on this little planet here. And I'm wondering if maybe there's no such thing as aliens, is that the hyperdimensional entities can project themselves into our matrix reality as aliens, angels, demons, Jesus, ascended masters, whatever suits their agenda in that moment, and that these are actually constructs of the Matrix itself. Bernhard, what do you think of that one?
I would agree on that one, and also keep in mind that they are shapeshifters, and also, I really like John Keel's work, Operation Trojan Horse.
Exactly.
And they adjust also to the zeitgeist or the collective belief system, And for me, the whole UFO phenomena are hyperdimensional manifestations, not alien creatures or coming from other planets in Star Trek type spaceships, but they also express themselves in this day and age because of our own technological expression and our belief system, and then Hollywood fuels it, and all of that.
Right.
People are conditioned by that Hollywood scenario, right? Independence.
And they fully understand the limitations of our three-dimensional perceptions.
They
our
play
bodies.
They love it.
That plays right into it, right?
Yeah, and you look, like you mentioned in the past, this phenomena has existed for thousands of years, and was interpreted in different ways, and manifested in different ways based on whatever the civilization or culture believed in, or their zeitgeist view was back then. Right?
Exactly. Have you read the book Not in His Image by John Lash? That talks about archons.
I have not. I've read some excerpts, but I've not read the whole thing.
It's a doozy. I highly recommend it because it fits right in. It just dovetails perfectly with Castaneda's topic of topics.
Yeah. No, I'm aware of it. I've read some of his work, and I think I mentioned it even quoted him in my the documentary. As well. Yeah. I mean, again, it shows like different cultures. You have the Gnostics talk about the archons.
Exactly.
The Arabic mythology about the jinns.
Right.
Then you have Gurdjieff and Muraviev of esoteric Christianity before the church corrupted, talking about the general law that rules over humanity. And the general law is the hyperdimensional matrix. And the Aborigines of Australia had their own terms, and so on and so forth.
Right, and the Tibetans called them tulpas. The tulpas, yes. But they're shapeshifters, and they can appear in any form that's convenient for that culture. Yeah.
Even like we talked earlier before the show about Dr. Carla Turner's work, which she did tremendous work, and we featured her in the documentary. Like she even said, with all that ties into all the contactees who had like Palladian beautiful beings visiting them, and she uncovered in her research, they also adjust to the belief system of any contactee, so you cannot take contactees' experiences on face value, I even need to question their own experiences because of the deceptive nature, as Carla Turner said, of this phenomenon. There have been instances of one person who had experienced these, visitations of this beautiful Palladian female woman, right? Who then was actually a screen memory, and behind it was a nasty reptilian entity engaging in abduction.
Exactly.
Oh,
well,
then how do all these people figure that out? If they're
that goes back again to discernment and self-work on the very general.
Well, and also the whistleblowers who have been in the mind control, the MK Ultra programs.
Yeah, they could be plans themselves, which ties into intelligence.
We have developed that technology ourselves, where we can, with the My Labs, we can abduct a person, do the whatever kind of medical work we want to do with them, and insert a hypnotic memory, where what they recall happened is totally different than what the actual event really was.
Exactly, the whole screen memory aspect is very important.
Right. And that was, that technology was, they had that in operation as early as 1961.
Yeah.
So.
And then, like I say, it all comes down to what? Who are you without your story?
Right.
Yeah.
A lot of
Who
that's
are
Yvonne. A lot of people get very attached to their story.
But what is
Who
my
are you without the story, without the shtick? Can you sit within that?
Yeah, ego comes in. I'm special. I'm a messenger. I give information.
Right.
Yada yada.
Yeah.
Yeah. Where did my story come from? Did I actually live that life, or was it an implant?
Right. And it doesn't mean that I don't. It doesn't. It just. We're just trying to figure this out. It doesn't mean. Yeah. But listen, Bernhard, I know you have to scoot soon. Before we wind down here, first, I want to thank you for this amazing. This has just been Jim. Are you having fun? Because I'm having fun.
I'm just
I think we.
I'm like a pig in. We're like a pig in slop here. We're having a good old time.
I think I do declare, Bernhard, I'd love to have you back, and I know Mr. Nichols would too. I want to ask you if you want to tell folks about your retreat or what you're currently working on or any music, as we wind down here. I want to make sure you fill folks in.
For me, most important in what I do in my personal work is I really mostly enjoy working with people one-on-one in my body work process or Skype sessions. It's really processing and really going down to, being the change, to really anchor that frequency and work through our stuff and really like empower people. I'm not here a person. I'm not a guru, leader, or whatever. I'm not telling people what they should be doing. I want to empower people and help them to tune into their own guidance, their own embodiment process. And with my Peruvian friend, Fred Clark Alvarez, through amazing synchronicities, we found this beautiful spot in the high jungle in Peru, this retreat center we're renting. And I've been working with, I've been to Peru like many times, 7 times or so, and I've known Fred for 10 years. And so what we have designed is this 9-day retreat, and where it's kind of really give a holistic experience in terms I'll be giving talks about the hyperdimensional matrix, but also basic psychology like shadow work, the hero's journey, and all tying into the fusion of the inner male and female, but in practical grounding way, giving exercises and individually and as a group, getting into our bodies. I'll be teaching Qigong, 5 rhythm dance practice, and all leading up to, we'll be also in the jungle, immersed in nature. We're going to bathing in the river and waterfalls and taking hikes and really connect with the elements of nature. It's a really intense place there. And that group process really, keep establishing a beautiful group integrity and energy, a safe place for people to process and go deeper. And all leading up to work of medicine planned as well. And we're working with Huachuma, which is San Pedro cactus, which I've worked for in 10 years as well. And, how is
that taken? Is that like an ayahuasca drink?
It's a cactus. So it's like, it's a drink as well.
Okay.
My Peruvian friend, he makes it.
Okay.
And he's also an amazing sound healer. So he has beautiful and powerful sound he make based on ancient Peruvian sound cosmology, so to speak, and he makes his own instruments, and really people process deeply when he works with one person. And in the Huachuma ceremony, we also then work with people individually, bringing everyone one by one in the middle of the circle. I do my own body work and energy work, and I work very well together with Fred while he's doing his sound healing and hold space, right? We don't claim to be healers. For me, healing is holding space. That's what I've learned in my body work as well. I just provide the conditions within the body so healing can help itself, because your own body intelligence knows what to do. And if you can create that safe space, then the healing can happen, and you're your own powerful healer, right? So that's what healing is all about for me. It's about the holding space and creating the right environment for that process to happen. And that's our main intention with this retreat, and especially this day and age. We're also trying to get people out of the crazy city frequencies, from the EMF radiation, get off the freaking computer, get off Facebook, get off your cell phones, be face to face with each other, open yourself up to your vulnerability and all of that. So that's, I feel, is more important in this day and age, the personal integrative work, beyond just sharing intellectual information.
Yes, and I'm gonna try to curl myself up into a ball so you could shove me in your bag and bring me along. That's what I want.
I don't think she won't do it.
But yeah, really. But folks, if you do it, definitely, I don't know, can folks still attend it, or are you full up? Or
the retreat in November is already full. We would have interest. Yeah. We do it twice a year, May, November. We'd have some interest for May. And we only accept 9 people. The retreat could hold more people, but we want, because we also work, with individuals, individual sessions. And we want to keep the group integrity, to keep it small, so it's better quality work.
Sometimes less is more.
Exactly. For me, it's all about quality over quantity. And, that's really what it comes down to.
Wow, that sounds like something I would absolutely love to check out. So May, keeping that in mind, folks. And
also I have to say, we go, I want to just add, we go by an application process because, our work is not for everyone. And it's also not for quote-unquote beginners on the path, so to speak. So we want really people understand what's it all about, if they're really sincere, what their intentions are, and all this kind of stuff. It's not just for people who are curious or, just want to check out Peru or something like that.
Right.
Now, does this medicinal drink, did it affect you like ayahuasca can affect you?
Yeah, it's I've worked with ayahuasca. It's
purgative
energy. It definitely brings up stuff. I feel it has more heart opening. It's done during the day in daylight. It lasts longer. It lasts up to like 10 hours. It comes in waves. Yeah.
Well, I would definitely, and I know Bernhard has to scoot, so I would like to talk about that on another show. That's what.
Let's talk. I'd definitely like to be back. It was great. Okay. Thank you both so much.
You're
well,
very welcome.
Let me thank Bernhard. I have to thank you, and I think when I first met Yvonne earlier this year, I thought, of all the people she needs to meet and contact, it's Bernhard Guenther. So I really want to thank you so very much for your sharing your time with us today.
Thank you, Jim, and very nice meeting you as well, and thank you for coming.
Pleasure.
To Yvonne. And I'm looking forward to hear more about your story, Yvonne. So
yes, we will chat.
We'll be in contact.
Absolutely. You have a great one, and thank you. And I want to tell folks again, tune in to Bernhard Guenther's websites, veilofreality.com. Also, www.bernhardguenther.com. If you want to check out Jim Nichols' website, go to www.jimnicholsufo.net. And hey, if you want to check out the bean here, www.groovybean.com. I am going to play and Bernhard, if you want to scoot, totally understand. Same with you, Jim. I do want to play the Krishnamurti clip. It is 4 minutes, folks, and I do recommend listening to it. It's pretty fantastical. So, again, thank you, Bernhard. Thank you, Jim. I'm going to go ahead and play this, and then I will close out the show. Make sure you folks tune in Thursday night, Nazi Saucers with Augie Noss, Jim Nichols, and then we're talking about heart chakra Friday night. So I'm trying to get my little paperwork here on the clip that I want to play you. Where did it go? Heaven's sakes. I tell you what, Groovy Bean. There we go. This is a clip from 1928, Krishnamurti. Truth is a pathless land. I do want you all to remember there are 2 wolves, and they are always fighting. One is darkness and despair. The other is light and hope. Which wolf wins, my friends? You know the answer. It is whichever one you feed. So remember, friends, to be safe, be kind, and be courageous. This is Groovy Bean signing out. We will see you next time, and here is that clip for you now.
I maintain that truth is a pathless land and cannot be approached by any path whatsoever, by any religion, by any sect. Truth being limitless, unconditioned, unapproachable by any path whatsoever, cannot be organized, nor should any organization be formed to lead or coerce people along any particular path. First, understanding that, then you will see how impossible it is to organize a belief being purely an individual matter. You cannot, and therefore must not organize it. If you do, it becomes crystallized, dead. It becomes a creed, a sect, a religion to be imposed on others. That is what everyone throughout the world is attempting to do. Truth is narrowed down and made a plaything for those who are weak, for those who are only momentarily discontented. Truth cannot be brought down. Rather, the individual must make the effort to ascend to it. You cannot bring the mountaintop to the valley. If you would attain to the mountaintop, you must pass through the valley, climb the steeps, unafraid of the dangerous precipices. Organizations cannot make you free or develop the inner man. No man from outside can make you free, nor can organized worship, nor the immolation of yourself for a cause make you free. Therefore, I am not concerning myself with the founding of religions or new sects or the establishment of new theories or new philosophies. I am concerning myself with the only one essential thing, the true freedom of man. I would help him to break away from all limitations, to free himself from all fears, from the fear of religion, from the fear of salvation, from the fear of spirituality, from the fear of love, from the fear of death, from the fear of life itself. My desire is that men should be unconditionally free, for I maintain that the only true spirituality is the incorruptibility of the self which is eternal. It is the harmony between reason and love. That is the highest reality. That is life itself. True perfection, the harmony of the self, has no law. This must not be translated as to mean chaos. It is above all law and above all chaos, because it is the seed of everything, that from which all transformation arises and on which all things depend. If you desire the harmony of the self, in which is true, and that poise of the self in which is true creation, you must care for that self which abides in each and be concerned only with that self. In creating that eternal poise lies the unfoldment of truth. Without understanding, the struggle between mind and emotion creates fear. If you would establish that harmony, then worship, prayers, mediators, the seeking of comfort are unnecessary. You must come to it naturally, as the flower blooms of a clear morning. The mind and the heart are of the same substance, and you must look to the purification of that substance and make that substance, which is thought, which is love, incorruptible. The moment there is in thought separation created by the mind, there is limitation and hence sorrow. The moment there is in love the creation of personal likes and dislikes, there is limitation and hence sorrow. To make the mind and the heart of man free from limitation, free from corruption, is happiness, liberation, and truth.
Begin auto-destruct sequence. Authorization Picard 47 Alpha Tango.
I'll be back.
We are the Borg. Lower your shields and surrender your ships. We will add your biological and technological distinctiveness to our own. Your culture will adapt to service us. Resistance is futile.
Assimilate this.
Starbucks are all Vipers. Do not fire. Repeat, do not fire. I am a friendly, okay? We're all friendlies. So let's just be friendly.